Hey there, Chris from the Old Man Cycling Show. Welcome to another episode. So this is my last race of the season. This is the Bucks County Classic Criterium held in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. This is my first time ever doing this race. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. As you can see, hopefully it's a little wet out. It was drizzling, and then as the race goes on, it actually started raining harder. I don't like the race in the rain. But anyway, you can just notice in the front right there, that's my friend Terry from Bigfoot, and next to him is Joe. Those are really the only two other people I knew that were in this race. So you'll see me spend a lot of time. You can see the clock, it says 9:09:22. This race started at promptly 9:10. But like I said, you know, I'm not one to want to race in wet weather. I'm old, I'm brittle, and my bones will break if I hit the deck. And wasn't looking forward to that. But, you know, I rode around the course a couple times. It was wet, but it wasn't pouring. Very, very rideable course in these conditions, so I figured I'd give it a shot, and if it got worse, I was going to drop out. The only issue you'll see is some people definitely were hitting the brakes too hard, so there was a lot of surge and a lot of wasted energy, a lot of, you know, moving back and forth. But the course is really, really cool. I'm not going to talk about the turns on the first lap because the map up in the upper right is a little messed up. But as always, you know, the power and the cadence and the speed and distance, you know, the top power that's in the middle column there, that's my current power. The power that's on the line by itself, that's my 30-second average, so you'll see them fluctuate. The others are self-explanatory. So, you know, I'll start talking more about the course as we get into the second lap, because this first lap, the turns weren't right. But as you can see, you know, sorry for the wetness on the lens. It was damp. Right now it's not raining, it's drizzling. So there's a real fine mist. Like I said, the course was very, very rideable. There were people that were overreacting, I would say, a little bit to the dampness. You know, some of these turns, like this one in particular right here, it's a nice sweeper. You didn't have to touch your brakes at all coming through this turn. This is the fastest part of the course. Again, as you saw, I was pretty much next to the last person to get off the start line. So I started in the back. There were just over 40 people that started the race. There were like 61 registered. I guess a bunch didn't show up because of weather. So, you know, Active Yards is usually a big participant in any of these races in the area. They didn't have many people there. Bigfoot, which you see Terry just up ahead on the right in the orange jersey, they're there. And riding with Terry is a new addition to the Bigfoot team with Joe. He used to be on, I never say it right, Vitis. Joe just switched to Bigfoot, so he's in orange. Looking good in orange there, Joe. It suits you. But, you know, this is just the first lap. I said, you know, I rode a couple of practice laps. Once we get through the start-finish line this time, I'll take you through the course so you understand it. At least you can see, you know, the roads aren't bad at the moment. There's some drain, there's some drain. There's some wetness, but it drains well. There's some spray coming up from the wheels in front of us. You know, the other thing I'll tell you is right off the get-go, as soon as they started, a bunch of 5 went off the front. And I mean, when I say they went off the front, they hit it. So right now, there's 5 guys off the front, and then I'm in what I would consider to be the peloton, the main pack. We're chasing. We stayed, I would say, throughout the entire race, we stayed within 20 seconds of the front. But at one point, I think with a few laps to go and not to spoil, we got it under, I want to say we got it under 15. But anyway, now we're coming up the finishing stretch. I'll walk you through the course this time. So we're going to come up on the start-finish pattern. You'll notice that there is no lap count yet. It's still 0. This is a timed race. This was 35 minutes. So it'll take the first 3 laps, figure out what our lap time is, and figure out how many laps you're going to do in 35 minutes and put that up there. So this is really nice. This is a big event for Doylestown. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't great. So here's the start line. So you come off the start line and you immediately come into a right-hand turn. Because you're coming uphill, you really don't have a bunch of speed to go through this turn. So this one, that turn wasn't bad at all. You didn't have to worry about that. There was a nice big, I would call it like a bump ditch, whatever you want to call it, right here by this stop sign. You just had to hit it right, that manhole cover. Now this is the one turn that was a little tricky. You can see the guy just off my right, he's hitting his brakes pretty good. A lot of guys had disc brakes. Of course, I have rim brakes with carbon wheels. They don't stop. I'll just tell you that right now. So, for me to stop, it was an effort. So now I'm catching up on Terry. That was one of the turns that you had to slow down. This turn, you did not have to slow down. This turn you could roll through. You just need to take your good line, cut the apex. It was double wide, no issues. This turn in particular, you didn't need to touch the brakes. This is a real nice sweeper. Went around to the right, so this is turn number, let's see, 1, 2, this is turn number 3. And now this is the fast part of the course. This is all a slight downhill grade. You can easily accelerate here, get up to speed. The only thing was there's these speed bumps like that. Terry just got bumped out of his saddle. There were 3 big speed bumps that at this speed, even on the bicycle, you felt them. So now we're coming into turn 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be turn number 4, I believe, right? I got to make sure I count this right. Yeah, this will be turn number 4. This one you had to slow down again for too. Not terribly, but you're coming off the fastest part of the course, and it was a little slick. Now at one point in one of the laps, my back wheel did slide a little bit, but I have to give a shout out to my my local and favorite bike shop in the world, Cycles by Kyle. I talked to my buddies there on Saturday night before the race, and they said, listen, just run a little bit lower tire pressure. I normally run I run tubeless tires. I run 85 in the rear and 80 in the front. They said, they would drop the rear down to 75 and the front to 70. I didn't quite go that far. I had the rear at 80 and the front at 75, and I'll tell you, it made a huge difference. Didn't feel any speed difference. I did feel grippier on the roads. So right now, Terry's sort of with me. Joe's up the road a little bit. We're working to catch up to Joe. I think that this group, we're still trying to catch the guys off the front, but they're going hard. So this is the main peloton. I would say no real cohesion. People are just sort of going for their own. But we're trying. There's 5 guys off the front. So now we're coming back up into the home stretch. Now this was a gradual uphill. It wasn't a severe uphill, but you can see my power's going up pretty good just to try to stay on the wheel in front of me. You had to put out a little bit of effort here to stay on the wheels and get up this uphill drag. So we're getting back to the start finish line. This will be the end of lap number 2. I don't believe they had the lap count up yet. I forget the total exact number of laps we did, but each lap was just over like 1.3 miles. So we're finishing up lap 2. Yeah, no lap counter up yet. And now we're back to turn number 1. So again, if you can hear the background sound and not my voice when I let it be silent, when you get into this next turn, I'll be silent. You can listen to the disc brakes squealing. So I'll just be quiet for a second here. So hopefully you heard some of that. So what happens then is, if you're behind someone that's braking too much, now you've got to put on a big surge to try to get back up to the guys that sort of moved out. And again, this, like I said, this turn, you can see how quickly I closed on that guy. You didn't have to brake on that turn. All you needed to do was take the apex properly. And again, same with this turn. There was absolutely zero braking required here, because look how sweeping it is. It's nice, and you can see a guy even came on the inside. I just happened to be following a wheel that I couldn't take. So now this is what I would do during the race. I wasn't happy following these guys. I didn't like the way they were braking. So here I put in a little effort. I said, okay, well, I'm just going to move up to Joe's group. And this was a stretch of road where you could really motor on this part of the road. It was a nice downhill, but like I said, they had the 3 speed bumps where you would get bumped. So now I'm up to Joe, and like I've said in many of my videos before, and hopefully Terry's right behind me. I never really looked behind me. I like following Joe's wheel. Very, very smart rider. Knows where the right lines are. Rides under control. Rides strong. So that's a good wheel to follow. My buddy Steve was not here this week. I missed him. It would have been nice to have him out there. Although I think between me and Steve, if we would have actually talked about it, we probably wouldn't have raced. We probably would have said, you know what, it's looking a little slick out there. You'll see Joe looks behind. That's a sign, hey, he's been working hard these first 3 laps. He wants a little bit of a break. No issue there. I'll gladly pull through and go do my share of work. Felt good this race. I have to say, being the last race of the season, I think it was one of my better races. Maybe it was the conditions, maybe I don't know what it was, but I felt good the whole race. I felt in control. I didn't feel like I was being reckless at all. This is another turn I didn't talk about before. So this turn was another one. You didn't have to slow down. Another good turn that just cut the apex. And then of course this last turn, which we're coming up to here, this was a really good sweeper. You're going uphill, so you're not gonna touch the brakes. Really wide turn. You just want to stay away from the painted lines, right? So I made that. I didn't want to ride that yellow line. That was the one that scared me. So you see, like, we'll go back across it, but never really rode on it. So now I'm right at the front of the chasing group. So there's still 5 guys up the road. You might have just seen a glimpse of the one guy going through the picture there. They got off right from the gun, and I don't think any of them ever came back. I think that those 5 stayed out. There were a couple surges to go after him here and there, but none of them really stuck. So I think we were effectively this group was effectively racing for 6th places, as I remember. So you saw lap counters up now. I said it was a 35-minute race. There's 7 laps left. It was just over 1.3 mile course. So I think the total distance we did was, and my GPS head unit would pause every once in a while because of the rain hitting it. I don't know what the exact distance that we raced was. It was somewhere between, and that was one turn where my back wheel did slide a little bit. Since I didn't have somebody really hitting the brakes on in front of me, I went through the turn better, but I also hit some paint. So my back wheel did slide, but not much. Now this one, now you can see I got the apex right. Didn't have to touch the brakes there. Again, coming down this stretch, there's no braking whatsoever. It's just roll through the turn, get your weight right. You can even see the guy in front of me pedal through it, and now you're on a good downhill stretch. So now I'm trying to just make sure I stay on this guy's wheel, so I don't have to do a lot of work, getting his slipstream. And I would really like to go back to this course next year, or maybe have it be dry. I liked it. I liked the number of turns. I liked the turns. I liked the setup. The whole back half is effectively a slight uphill grade, coming back into the finish line. The first half is, effectively downhill. So it was a really nice combination of how we went. Now here coming in, you can see I went wide because the guy in front of me, he took a line, and again, you're going to see me make a move because I didn't like the line he took, and I don't want to be stuck behind him. So now I make a move to go around him, and that's sort of the way I rode this race. Like, if I wasn't happy with the way things were going, and it got spread out real quick. Like I said, if there were 40 some people in the race, it got spread out quickly to there was us in the main group here chasing those guys. You can just see them up the road, chasing the 5 guys up the road. And you could do that. You could basically move to where you wanted to be, to try to get away from the people that weren't riding how you would normally ride, and not knocking anybody. You have to ride the way you want to ride. If you feel you need to slow down going more into the corners, then by all means do it. But you need to ride how you want to ride, which means if you're following somebody like that and you don't like the way they're going, you've got to work to get around them. So I never felt like I was out of control. I felt like, I knew the lines. I had trust in my equipment. I'll just give a shout out. I use Continental GP 5000 STR tires. I do run them tubeless. I have on Easton EC90 SL rims, which are I think about a 38 millimeter deep rim. Carbon, which of course carbon rims and rim brakes in the rain don't add up to a good equation for stopping. So now Joe's coming back, and this happens normally for me. Like I pulled for a little bit. Now I'm just staying with the group, catching my breath, coming back up to the drag here. Don't really care. Like I don't feel like I'm getting dropped because I'm still moving along just fine. But anyway, back to my tires and wheels. Tires were great. Tires had no issue. The issue with the wheels obviously is when it's wet. It's very, very difficult to get rim brakes to stop. I do use the what is it? Swiss Mount black compound pads on my rim brakes. I found that they're by far the best carbon pad. They're much better than the yellow ones that Swiss Stop makes, but still, I don't think carbon and rain, because I don't have, like, my rims aren't dimpled like you might see on some of the other carbon rims. My rims are just a flat finish. But yeah, so you can see this guy was looking behind. He and again, I'm not knocking him. He would get on his brakes pretty good, and now you can see we've got a honk to try to close down that gap to the guys in front of us. And again, you have to ride with how you feel you want to ride. So I sort of played, this guy would pass me on uphills, I'd pass him on the downhills. He'd pass me on uphills, I'd pass him on the downhills for the next couple laps. And that's just the way it is. So I wanted to get ahead of him going into this next turn because I didn't want to lose, especially this turn. I didn't want to lose too much momentum coming into here and then having to work back to get back on. So now we're still, all together chasing the five guys out front. Joe's still there. Haven't seen Terry for a while. I do know that Terry's still in the race. I did see him afterwards. But, now at this point, like, I'm just focused on this group. I'm focused on doing what I can to stay in this group, helping the group. Not really feeling too confident that we're going to bring back the guys in the front. So here you can see that number 271 does pass me back again coming up into this next corner. No worries there. But again, this was a really fun course. I liked the number of turns. I liked the style of the turns. The two downhill sort of sweeper ones where you didn't have to touch anything. I can see that being really, really fun if this course was dry. Again here, this starts sort of the uphill sweep into the start finish line, and I apologize that one raindrop is perfectly centered on the camera, but what can you do? And now you can actually see the rain's picked up a little bit. Like it's a steady drizzle at this point. But like I said, I started the race. If it was raining this hard when I would have been deciding whether I was going to start or not, I probably wouldn't have ridden. Like I said, I don't want to fall. I don't want to crash. Sometimes it's inevitable, but there's certain conditions where you can choose not to. And being this wet, that's certainly a situation where you can say, hey, I'm just not going to go. Nobody can fault you at it. I don't get paid to do this. I do it for the fun. I do it for the thrill. So you just saw we have 5 laps left. And we're staying together with this bunch. So you can see Joe sort of moves up. Joe. I talked to him afterwards. He was pretty much doing similar things to me. You can tell when people are braking or not braking or where you want to be. You just have to make your move. So that was sort of a cheeky move there, cutting inside that guy. But at the same point in time, I knew that he was going to brake going into that turn, and I didn't necessarily want to brake as much and have to work to get back on. You can see how much Joe opened up just because of the 2 guys that were in front of me. I caught him right away, but even so, I had to put out a little bit extra effort, and every bit does matter. Even for a race as short as 35 minutes, you know, when you can save energy, you want to save energy. So now again, we're on the fast part of the track, and you can see it is getting heavier with the rain. The camera's getting covered quicker and more. You know, there's more moisture on the ground. And these speed bumps, I have to tell you, 2 times in particular, I got knocked off the saddle. Like, you know, I wasn't really paying attention to the bumps coming up, even though they were well marked. And you know, you hit them, and you know, you're doing 30 miles an hour on your bike tires, you're gonna feel it. So this was always a good part. If you needed to make a move, you can make a move on this part up to this next corner, and then you could also make a move in this corner to the next corner, right? Because this is still, you know, the first part was uphill. This is slightly uphill, then it crests and is flat for a while. Then you make a left-hand turn and it's uphill to the start-finish line. But a hill, I mean, you know, it might be a 1.5–2% grade. It's not much. So as usual, you know, when I ride these races, I take a lot of my cues from Joe. I watch what Joe's doing. I didn't, like I said at the start, I didn't really see any of the familiar faces that I knew. I think a lot of people might have stayed home, but it ended up being a fun day. I sort of enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe I like riding in the slop. Although I wouldn't make a regular habit of it. So you can see this chasing group is, you know, still all, you know, we're stretched out a little bit, but nothing that you can't make up. So no worries there. Like at this point in the race, I think we'll have 4 laps to go after we pass the start finish line. You know, in my head, I'm like, I can move here. I just want to make sure I'm in position. You know, with 2 laps to go, I want to be in the right place. That was my goal here. They're a little bit longer lap. I know the backstretch. You know, you can make some moves. There's a really fast part getting into that backstretch. So, you know, it's a good course, and it wasn't crowded. It was a good course to make moves. So yep, there's 4 laps to go. You saw we've been racing for about 21 minutes so far. So coming to the turn again. Now we start the one downhill part that came to the turn that I didn't necessarily like, but it didn't bother me. I didn't feel uncomfortable in this turn at all, except the one time where my rear wheel did slide a little bit. But even then, so you can see here, like Joe's slowing down. He had rim brakes, and I sort of just came right up on him because, you know, I mean, he has disc brakes. I sort of came right up on him, you know, with my rim brakes, so it takes them a little bit longer to connect, so to speak. But now, you know, now we're sort of free to roll. So now we're going to go through this nice gentle turn here. Now we're into the fast part, right? So this is the part where, like I said, you know, you could just flow through here. You didn't have to touch anything, and now you're just zipping away. So again, you know, there's no real, amongst these guys that are on this stretch right now, there was no real panic. You know, we're all close enough that it can come together in a few, 50, 100 meters. You can close things down real quickly. Again, this stretch here, you could power up it, you know, gain a few spots if you wanted to. Nothing too hard here. It's just one of the little surges that happens on occasion, and you just, you know, you work to get on a wheel in front. one thing I noticed in this race, and I don't know if you've been watching, but my cadence tended to be a little bit higher in this race. I've been trying to work on it. I've been trying to do more of a spinning, especially when climbing, as opposed to a raw power. I find that I don't get as worn out as quickly. One thing I did miss is I did want to take 2 block shoes right at the start line, but of course it was either try to fish the 2 block shoes out of my rear jersey pocket or use the porta pot before the race started, and I chose to use the porta pot. So maybe that's a little bit too much information for you, but that's just the way it worked out. So speaking of information, again, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoy my commentary, please subscribe to the channel. Please click that like button. Feel free to ask me any questions. This is my last crit race of the season. I'm going to do some gravel events, some long endurance events, and then start up with the crits again next season. Get some good training over the winter. So now we got 3 to go. So now's where you actually start to think, okay, where do I need to be? Where do I want to be? What do I have to do? Again, there's no panic yet. There's no like I've got to be at the front of this group right now. But I did make the decision that coming into the last lap, I want to be as close to the front of this group as possible. And we'll see how it turns out. So there's still, like I said, we never caught the guys who are off front. So, and there's another pretty significant group behind us. There were maybe 5 off the front, maybe 20 in this group, and then the rest behind. So again, here's another situation I think where the gap was opening up, and it would open up easy again if and again going back to the brakes, if somebody was on the brakes too much and other people weren't, you got gaps, and then you had to work to get back on. And you can't fault people for riding that way. That's the way they're comfortable riding, so that's the way you ride. But then it just creates more work, more surging. But at the same point in time, you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself in contact with where you want to be. So now we're working to catch back on the tail end of the front half of this peloton. And we're staying together. So still doing good. Actually, this is good that I'm seeing this because I haven't seen my my stats from my fit file drop out yet, which is good because I did have to unpause my ride several times. So it's good that it kept going. Boy, that one drop of rain right in the middle of that screen is annoying, isn't it? It's like, well, what am I looking at? So here we're going to come up to the start-finish line. We'll have 2 to go. The main peloton's still intact. I think coming around this time is when the announcer said, they've got a gap of 20. And I think if you listen close enough, you can hear, you guys are racing for 5th or 6th place. Because I don't know if one person came back from the lead group or not. But I did hear him say something like, you're racing for something other than first place. But that's okay. It's still fun. All right, so now we got 2 to go. that's pretty psychedelic, huh? That drop of rain right where you don't want it to be. It'll drop off soon, don't worry. So there you could see, like, you know, there was a gap between the guy just passed, the guy in the orangish jersey ahead of him. And I know it's really difficult to see now. And now coming into this turn. And now we're on the fast stretch. I'd say it was a deceiving course. I mean, the fast parts were fast, but the uphill parts, you know, were slow. I think I averaged just over 24 miles an hour for the race, maybe 24 and a half. It felt a lot faster, but that was probably due to the wetness. But yeah, it was fun. It was, like I said, a really nice course. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it next year when it's dry. I think it'd be a real fun course to do. So now we're coming up this, and I know I want to stay in touch with this group because we've got one to go when we get around on this one. So I want to stay in touch. You know, to see that. Yeah, I want to finish at the front of this group, or try to be as close to the front of this group as possible. And this is where you know, my learning experience is still kicking in. Knowing when I really want to apply things, how far I can apply things for. You know, I'm getting better, I think, every race. I'm learning more. I enjoy watching these recaps with my dialogue as much as you know, how I like to put them out there for others to watch them, because I do get a lot out of it. Oops, sorry about that. Someone's trying to call me, but hopefully it'll go away soon. I don't have a way to mute that. It's a nice little ding in the background. Okay, so we're coming up to the start finish for the last lap, and it starts to get a little animated here. You know, people start to try to move. And at this point, I'm determined that I'm going to go for bust. I'm going to follow whoever goes. I'm going to try to stay in it. It is, you know, it's a full, you know, 1.3 miles to get around, but you know, this group was making a strong move, and I say, hey, I'm either going to go and stay with her, or I'm going to go and blow up. So we're on the last lap. And I know I can make up distance on these downhills. I know I can get through the corners good. I've gotten comfortable going through and choosing my lines. So, you know, all good there. So I'm not worried. Like, I'll get back onto these guys' wheels. And it's not that far. It looks a lot further on the camera than it really is. Like, I'm not that far behind them at all. So as you can see, as a matter of fact, like coming into this turn, you know, I got right back on him. I think the guy in front of me there, he just slid a little bit. He was going a little hot. He had rim brakes too. Kudos to you, pal. Gotta love, I mean, disc brakes. The rim brakes. You gotta love the rim brakes. And again, from here, I'm telling myself there's only one more point where I need to hit the brakes, and that's it, you know, at the end of this speed bump. Now, I will be quiet at this last turn because I'll tell you, I don't know if you'll hear it in this video, but there was a crash right behind me in this next turn. You know, this is the last lap. People are going for it. As a matter of fact, you're going to see, you know, one guy here has a little bit of a gap, and I decide, okay, these guys aren't working hard enough for my liking to go get them. So I take off, and it's time to go get them. So I'll be quiet in this lap. I don't know if the camera would have picked it up because it was behind me. But now, so I got this guy, and like I said, you know, I'm all in at this point. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go as hard as I can for as long as I can and see what happens. You know, I'm at the front of the Peloton chasing group. I see a couple riders up the road. You know, I don't know if these are remnants of the 5 that came back. I don't think so. I think these are guys that actually went off the Peloton and coming back. But you know, we're coming into the home stretch. I will give you the spoiler now. I finished 15th overall, which I'm really happy with. That's a good result for me, especially considering there were, you know, 5 guys off the front. So I think I did a good job. And now at this point, like, I know people are just sitting on my wheel waiting for that main stretch. I'm still pressing though. I'm still totally committed to, you know, getting to where I can get. That was the play of the day. So, you know, got another guy back here, and then as soon as we come around this corner, you're going to see people start coming by me, and that's all fun. I think I did respectable trying to hang with them. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If so, make sure you give me that thumbs up, and I hope to see you back for next crit season. But I'll be posting some more videos, some of my gravel adventures and other things. Here comes the group by me. You'll see that they start passing me. I do make an effort to get back. You see here I'm getting back on it. But all in all, I was really happy with this race. I think I did a fine job representing myself, and Westchester Development Racing Team, thanks for a great season. And this is Chris from the Old Man Cycling Show saying peace.
And the rest of our group, well done, gentlemen. You've 35 minutes of racing. Big Anthony Taylor out of Brooklyn, New York, wrapping up his day.